So that's the thing, is that we've been doing software development, and we've done it for years. We've created multiple products on our side that are successful.
Yeah.
And really, like you said, the learning curve is so steep with software development.
Yeah.
For any individual to know every single aspect is nearly impossible. So you have to build the good team that you referenced.
Right.
And so you bring in several individuals with certain level of expertise, who, and most of the time, they have certain personality traits.
Right.
And then there's a development and a skill set to actually having communications between these individuals.
Totally.
Because they communicate in different styles.
And then there's where you're going to get the stuff done. Because a lot of people will go, well, I'm just going to go to the Ukraine, or I'm going to go to India, or I'm just going to go to Canada, or I'm going to go. All of these things, none of them are necessarily wrong decisions. It depends on a lot of things. It depends on everything you have going on. But they absolutely impact what happens after that. Talking to someone not too long ago, they had developed a product using a very expensive development team. They went broke. And so what they ended up trying to build never even hit the open market, because the cost of the developers, like they just ran out of money, because you always run into things that you didn't necessarily anticipate. Now, as you know, like when we started Sky, it was very expensive. Like we started looking at, we had a thriving ACA reporting company. We were doing some things uniquely to get that done, but it was not going to be scalable. It was not web-based. It was more of a localized-based software. And so to develop software was going to require a whole new set of skills. And as you remember, we started getting quotes, and we were looking at getting that done in the United States. That's expensive. That's $200 and something. And quite frankly, that's just something that we weren't that wasn't a cost that we were willing to end up paying for. It was just way too much. And so what we did is, obviously we had to come up with a different way of doing something. So what do? You experiment. And so some people will go, well, I'm just going to take everything and then push it overseas. That also has its issues, especially if you're dealing with, depends on what kind of information you're dealing with. Are you dealing with sensitive information? You're going to let them deal with your sensitive information? You got to be careful with that. And so obviously, as you well know, we ended up landing on a quasi approach that does certain things in the United States and certain things in other countries, which gets our cost of development way low, which I think is important, because not running out of money is pretty important, especially when it's your money.
Well, let's talk about that. So I've had the opportunity to sit down with people who are business owners, entrepreneurs, and I think that's a big value add that we add. The fact that we are business owners, entrepreneurs that have software. We have software as a service that we use daily.
Right.
It pays for all of my bills, pays all your bills.
Yeah, I mean, it's made us very wealthy.
So we're in the trenches with this. Right. So we have that going into it. But
see, that in and of itself is so different. I mean, because most people, like if you're developing software for something, they don't care. We do care, because I mean, we know, and that there's been opportunities that we've had to develop stuff that we're like, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And they go, why? Because it's not going to work.
Well,
Let me ask you the question. And I think